Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me here this morning. If you will, like, share, comment on the post. Hope you had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I appreciate you being back here as we wrap up the little book of Jonah this morning. And we will look at the last three verses, beginning in verse 9. God said to Jonah, Do you do well to be angry for the plant? And he said, Yes, I do well to be angry enough to die. And the Lord said, You pity the plant for which you did not labor, nor did you make it grow, which came into being in a night and perished in a night. And should not I pity Nineveh, the great city, in which there are more than 120,000 persons who do not know their right hand from their left, and also much cattle? Interesting thought. Let me throw before you. Jonah and God are both angry at the exact same thing. Jonah is angry over the sin of the people of Nineveh. He doesn't think they should receive mercy. He thinks they're a mean, wicked, nasty people and should be punished for that. God as well is angry at the sin of Nineveh. But he has a different reaction. He believes that he should send a preacher, a prophet, to preach to them that they might have an opportunity to repent of their sins. And that's played out for us here in this story. Jonah sits down under the shade of a gourd plant, and the gourd plant dries up and dies and leaves Jonah without his shade. And Jonah is grieved because his plant is gone, because the plant died. But he has no real concern, God says, that you're concerned about a gourd plant, but you don't seem to care that there's 120,000 people in Nineveh that don't know me and could be destroyed. And so it's interesting when you think about that again, both of them are upset about the same thing. They're upset over the sin of Nineveh. Jonah was so upset originally in this story that he went the opposite way, went and got on a ship, didn't go to Nineveh, had to be swallowed by a great fish, spit out, and sent again a second time to Nineveh. He's angry. He doesn't think they deserve, they shouldn't be preached to. They don't deserve forgiveness. They don't deserve God's mercy. God looks at them, he sees their sin, and says, there's 120,000 people in Nineveh, and if I don't do something, they're going to die in their sin. That thought, I never really thought about that before in looking at this passage, but it really has struck me because I'm concerned that as Christians, the church, how do we see this world that is stumbling in darkness? God says of these people in Nineveh, they don't even know their right hand from their left. He wasn't meaning that literally, that they didn't know their right from their left. He was meaning that they are so far away from God, that they are so sinful that they don't even recognize their position. They're stumbling in darkness. And Jonah, you don't even care. We're both upset about their sin, Jonah, but we have two different reactions. You want to sit down under a gourd and pout, and then get even madder when the gourd dies. I want to do something about their condition. I want to do something about the sin that they find themselves in. You see them in sin and think they should be destroyed. I see them in sin and think they need rescuing. What a wonderful picture of God. Most of us today, we see the news, we hear stories, and we're bothered by sin. We're bothered by the wickedness and the evil that goes on in the world around us. But do we react with compassion and mercy and grace like God does? Do we see the lost as those who need the gospel? Or do we see the lost as those who we'd like to see God just destroy them and wipe them out? That's a humbling thought. That's a thought that should take some time and take a little root in our minds and our thoughts. How do I see the lost? Do I see them as somebody who needs the gospel, or do I see them as someone who needs judgment? Now, to be certain, if a person living in sin rejects God and continues, they're facing judgment. But as believers, isn't it our responsibility, just like God with Nineveh, that in the meantime, that we do everything we can to share the good news of Jesus Christ and to try to help these that don't know their right hand from their left hand to meet Jesus Christ? You think about that. You have a great day. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.